everybody. Welcome to the Run Selfie Repeat podcast, where we talk about life with a side of running. My name is Kelly Roberts, and this is our final Project 159 episode. After this, I will be most likely disappearing until 2025. You'll see me here or there on socials, but I will not be posting regularly the way I have been, and the podcast will be going away for a hot second. I normally do this every year, where December is kind of like my month, and I take a big giant break and refresh and stop putting cameras in my faces and just take a break from all of the online stuff. I still work, obviously, and I still coach, and I still am on coaching calls, and I still make some videos here and there, but everything is mostly the same way with training, when I want to, only because I want to, and how I want to. So, yeah, this is it. This has been really fun. I really enjoyed sharing my training, and I really enjoyed doing this style of the podcast, which I know is very different than what I'm normally doing, which are short weekly pep talks or more training focused about a concept and then coaching and helping people kind of get the most out of their training. And this is mostly talking about my training. So I know this was a very different type of experience that we've done. So that was fun to play with. Before we get into it, before I leave you, just a reminder that our Badass Lady Gang training team is on sale. This is 2024, November and December. So all the way through January 1st. January 1st is the final day, 2025, that you can join at the sale rate. And then there will not be another sale until next November. So if you are looking to save big on training, if you are thinking about possibly becoming a runner or taking your running to the next level, or getting more support, or having more fun, or having more resources, or starting to kind of get into why things happen the way they do in training, and having a group of people to lean on for support, to have a coach and support from coaches, myself and Coach Amanda, to do a bunch of different training experiences. Reminder, training experiences are included in team membership. So if you become a member of the team, they're free, right? They're not free because you're paying for the team, but they are included in your team membership. So as a member of the team, you get training experiences, you get over 6 weekly coaching calls where you can talk to me on a Zoom session. We're talking through your training, we're connecting with your teammates, we're adjusting your training plans. When you want a training plan, regardless of anything that you want to train for, everything gets customized to meet you where you are and get you where you want to go. I'm not just putting a cookie cutter training plan on your schedule. I'm starting with a cookie cutter training plan, and then I'm adjusting it based on what works for you, what you enjoy doing, what you're scared of doing. And then every week, based on how your life is working, how your work is working, how your family life's going, if you're sick, if you're injured, if you're just overwhelmed, if you want to go harder, like however you're adjusting, we adjust things, we scale things, we move things. That's the best part about having a coach, is you have someone to talk things through with. You don't need to rely on social media to teach you how to train. You have a coach who is invested in you and who cares about you and who wants to see you succeed, and more importantly, wants to see you define how you define success, right? Success is not getting faster. Success is not running further. Success is getting the most out of your training and you learning more about yourself and what you're capable of, and feeling like you're in the driver's seat and making choices that are informed and that are your best and that you just feel really proud of and that you're enjoying. That to me is success, spoiler alert. But I just did a huge outcome goal. That is not success. I know that sounds crazy, but for me, the time goal really is irrelevant. For me, one of the ways I always ask all my runners to define success and failure for themselves going into a race. And for me, success is executing my plan. And I had a very specific plan. And yes, there were paces, but as you're about to see, they weren't even close to what I did. We'll talk about it in a second, what my process in racing, but like for the most part, I really, really wanted to trust how I felt, trust that my body knew how to race, and that I was ready, and that when I needed to make moves, I made moves without thinking about it. I wasn't second guessing myself. I wasn't in my head. I was ultra present. I was dropped in, and I was just letting myself go for it. And that's what I did. And we'll talk about it. And like, to me, that is success. Personal best effort is having a plan, taking the time to do the work in training, to give your best in training, to take the time to be as prepared as humanly possible for race day, to hold on to that plan. But the second you cross that starting line, you let the plan go and you are present and you are ready to swing at every single pitch that comes your way, right? You are ready to smack that ball out of the park, knowing that you're going to take a couple misses, right? And that's okay. But you're focusing on what's inside of your control. And that to me is success, how I wanted it to be. So I think it takes a very long time to learn how to race, to learn how to run well, to learn what personal best means and how to do these kinds of things. And having a coach is very helpful. You can absolutely do it on your own and watch social media and watch podcasts and listen to podcasts and read books. Absolutely. It's a lot easier with support. So highly recommend. You can learn more about the team via the link below. It is a monthly subscription. So it is monthly until you cancel it, or you can join for a year. That's an annual subscription. You can also join a training experience after the sales or whenever you want. We do early bird sales for all of our training experiences. So up until 30 days before the training experience begins, they are available at an early bird rate, at a discounted rate. And then the second 30 days we enter the window before it begins, it goes to the full price. One of the nice things about training experiences is, let's say we're outside of the sale, you want to see what it's like to train with us. You sign up for something like our 8-week Become a Runner training experience, or our 8-week Get Stronger Faster training experience, both of which start on December 30th. Or maybe you're doing a March half marathon and you sign up for our March half marathon, which I think starts the week before Christmas. At any point before this window, if you upgrade to the team at the sale rate, you get access to the sale rate and we refund your training experience. If you're outside of that window, we still give you access to the sale rate, but you will not get your training experience refunded. So also, if you miss the sale and you think you want to join the team, start with the training experience. You can get the team rate. But yeah, that's our housekeeping. Should we talk about what just happened? I mean, you guys, I raced this morning. I'm doing this on Saturday because I have a long 10 days ahead of me and I just need to get this over with. Honestly, I wish it was just that I'm excited to talk about it, but honestly, I just have a couple hours of work after this and I want to get this done, and I'm completely out of the office tomorrow shooting on stuff. So, oh my gosh, I did it. What? It was a really strong day. I feel really, really proud of myself. I feel very, very, very happy with how everything went. My goal going into this was to break 2, was to see if I couldn't do a 1:59. And honestly, 12 weeks ago, that felt very intimidating and very, very audacious. I was running between like 11 and 12-minute miles as conversational pace. So getting to a place where I could race holding a little bit below a 9-minute mile sounded like a lot. I honestly didn't know if I had enough time, but like I just went over with all of you, it isn't necessarily about pace. It's about effort. And whether it was possible or not, I knew I was going to have a lot of fun trying, and it was going to really help me figure out next year. And I'm on this journey to try to qualify for the Boston Marathon again. And I want to be in the best position as humanly possible to do that. And I knew 12 weeks was enough time for me to really seriously train, see how much fitness I could build, and I could see today where I'm at and how much time I need before I try to BQ at a marathon. If I could do it in the spring, if I could do it in the fall. And I know we've talked about me thinking that a spring is doable. We can talk about it more in a little bit. But yeah, 12 weeks ago, 1:59 really did sound a little too audacious. And I crossed the line in 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 1 single dumb fucking second. And this is so stupid. I think a lot of runners can relate to this insignificant, like, if I had just been 2 seconds earlier, I would have been 1:59 or 1:49, which, like, what difference does it make? It makes, you're splitting hairs. All that really matters is I gave everything, like, and honestly, I don't think I gave everything. I really do think I could have pushed even harder in that final 2 miles. But regardless, I feel so happy with what I did. And I'll tell you why I didn't in a second. But I went into it, and here was my A goal. I really thought 157 would be like on a really good day, 156, 157 would be what I could do, just based on what my threshold pace was, based on what my workouts were. But again, this is why it's really important to have a plan and trust the effort, because if I would have convinced myself that 157 was a stretch, I would never have let myself run the paces I ran as early as I did. But when you are tuned into what your body is telling you and how you're feeling and effort levels, you can make moves faster and you can trust where you're at without predefined limits of looking down and seeing paces early and thinking, too fast. Oh no. Because you're like, one of the things that you're always doing is checking in and saying, do I think I can hold this pace for the rest of the race? And if the answer is yes, you have the option of either staying there for a little bit longer or trying to add a little bit of spice and seeing if you can't add a little heat and add a little heat and add a little heat, right? Racing isn't necessarily about like every single kilometer or every single mile you're looking down at your split and saying, great, I ran an 11:10 and now I need to bring it to an 11:05. It's efforts. So you're pushing downhills and you're focusing on tangents and you're focusing on, and tangents, for those of you who don't know, are not just the shortest way to get from start to finish, right? So that you're looking ahead of you and saying, okay, I see a right turn and then a left turn. So I'm going to cut diagonally towards that left turn so that I'm not pulling wide on the right and then pulling wide on the left, or cutting it too tight on the right so that I'm like slowing down into that turn. But also thinking, okay, I see a downhill up ahead, so I'm going to really, really, really push until the bottom of that downhill. That's the tangent that I'm going to push. And after that, I'm going to catch my breath. Or thinking chunking sections like that and focusing on smaller pushes that are effort-based, as opposed to, okay, right now I'm running a 10-minute, 15-second mile, and for the next 30 seconds, I'm going to run a 10-minute, 2-second. Like, that's not what you're doing. You're just focusing on effort levels. So here's my pacing strategy going into it to try to get something like a 157-ish. This would have given me, like, I think 157.28. First 2 miles, 9-minute 21 second pace per mile. Mile 3, bring it down to about a 9:12. Miles 4 and 5, can I hold a 9:05? 6 and 7, bring it to a 9. And then if I felt good, go for it. Start bringing it down to 8:50 for the next 2 miles, 8:45 for the next 2 miles, 8:40 for the next mile, 8:30 for the last mile, and then as hard as I can for up the hill, knowing that I'm going to slow down a bit going on the final uphill, because it does finish on a very long uphill. So that was the A goal. The B goal was to do 9:21s, bring it down to that 9:12. And then if I was like, ooh, too hard, if I don't feel the effort there, bring it back to 9:21s for 2 minutes ish, bring it back down to 9:10s, and then 9s through 8 and 9, 10 and 11. And then if I felt okay, go for 8:55 for 12 and 13. And that would bring me not necessarily 159, probably closer to 201, but like, you know, what ish I wanted. And if I could in the final 2 miles, like, there's room there to try to do something like 8:30s or 8:10s. Here's what I did. Now, these are my watches, and I didn't lap my watch manually. So these are off by 10 seconds more often than not. My watch would tell me the splits about 10 seconds before we would get to the mile markers on the course. So mile 1, 9 minutes. Mile 2, 8:53. Mile 3, 8:49. Mile 4, 8:42. Mile 5, 9:08. Mile 6, 9:01. Mile 7, 8:42. Mile 8, 8:41. Mile 9, 8:46. Mile 10, 8:34. Mile 11, 8:43. Mile 12, 8:04. Mile 13, 8:15. And then the final 0.1 was a 7:30-minute mile pace. So we did it, Joe. Here's something that's going to surprise you, though. I would say mile 1 felt, I really had to consciously pull myself back. I had to really just keep saying to myself what I say to all my athletes: painfully slow, painfully slow, painfully slow, painfully slow, painfully slow. So even that 9 was hard. That was really hard to keep that at a 9. I really did have to like slam on the brakes many times, and not obviously slam on the brakes. I didn't stop, but like really pull back, like physically pull back. I knew my friends, so I have the best friends in the whole world, Jeannie, Melissa, and Kelly. Melissa and Jeannie, we drove down together. Jeannie drove us on Friday, and we stopped at an outlet mall. And then we went to the hotel in Philly. We checked in, dropped our stuff, and then we went and proceeded to shop for a couple more hours. Normally, I like to stay off my feet the day before a race. This is a half marathon. I don't feel super compelled to just like stay off my feet the way I would for a marathon. Now, do I recommend going and walking 10 miles and sightseeing? No. But we were there for the vibes, and I was fine with it. When we were going to bed, we sat down with the map to figure out like, okay, where do I want you guys? Where do I need you? Where do I want you? And what can you do? So we decided mile 2, mile 6, mile 10. Those were the 3 that I like needed them. Mile 6 being the most important one because they were going to hand me a bottle with scratch in it. The Philly half marathon does noon on the course, which I don't train with. I don't know what kind of noon it was. It didn't taste very strong. I took 1 cup. I had Salt Stick with me, and I didn't want to. I had a couple options. I could have them hand me soft flasks so that I always had like a soft flask in my pocket, and I was just in charge of my hydration completely. When I ran the Chicago Marathon the last time I tried to BQ, my sister would hand me my fueling and my hydration on the hour. So she hit 4 different places to always give me my bottles and my hydration, which is a risk, right? You have to find your people because they have your shit. So when I was figuring out like, do I rely on what they have on the course, or do I just do like touch nothing and just have my own stuff, or do we do, a combo of both? That's what I decided to do, a combo of both. So I knew from mile 0 through 10K, I would be taking water cups and then Salt Stick, those salt chews. They had sent me a bunch of stuff, which so clutch. I trained with it for a couple of weeks. I liked it. So what I do is hyperhydrate. So that means the day before I'm having 2 bottles of sports drink, 1 in the morning and 1 at night at dinner. And then the morning of the second I wake up. So the morning of the race, I woke up at 4:10-ish for a 7 o'clock start time. I mean, I set my alarm for 4:40, but I was up at 4:10. So I got up, I grabbed my overnight oats and my bottle that I had pre-made. And actually I didn't pre-make my bottle because I forgot. So I had to like rummage around the room in the dark being like, where's my scratch? So I made my scratch and drank my coffee, my drink, and then ate my oatmeal and finished it at like 4:40. So that means I had finished that whole bottle of sports drink with I probably finished it at 5. So I had 2 hours before we started the race. We're scheduled to start the race. I had finished it. So 90 minutes is a safe bet that you'll absorb everything you're going to absorb and excrete everything you need to excrete so that you're not running from bathroom to bathroom. But if 2 hours is a much safer bet. So I wanted enough time to eat my food, drink my coffee, and drink my sports drink so that I can go pee a bunch of times before the race started and not have to worry too much about Salt Stick for the first 10K and just hitting water cups. So one of the hard things about racing is the volunteers are always filling up very different amounts in cups. So I would grab waters where there would be like a tiny, like maybe 2 inches of water in it, like a sip, which is normally what you want. And then I would have sometimes where there would be like half the cup. So I like to drink three quarters of the cup full. I'm an incredibly sweaty person. I sweat I'm an above average sweater. So I know that my sweat rate is very, very high. So it's important for me, especially even when it's cold. Like it was about 39 degrees when we started. I probably lost a couple pounds of sweat. So it's really important that I'm really on top of hydration when I'm not being specific. And I wasn't being specific because I was taking cups. So always trying to make sure that I was hitting every single water stop, and I would grab between 2 and 3 water cups and dump them into one cup, toss the other cups, and then I would taco it and slowly drink it for about a minute. So the first 10K I was doing salt stick, and I did salt stick twice. And then for the first 10K, I was also doing scratch chews. The second I went through security. Oh, let's just talk before the race even began. So Philly has very tight security. I've done the Philly half once before, and the last time I did it, I got there just late enough, probably like 45 minutes before the race started, that I stood in line for security for 40 minutes and thought I was going to be late. And this is what happens every year, and everyone bitches about security, but you need to get there early. If you are not there at least an hour before the race, that is on you. That is your fault. You are rolling up too late. It has been like this for years. That is on you. Get to that race an hour before you need to start the race. There are definitely local races where you get to roll up 5 minutes before the start. This is not one of them. New York Roadrunners races, the big ones, same thing. You do not get to roll up to the New York City half or the Brooklyn half or some of these other huge city races 30 minutes before the race begins. You unfortunately need to be there 60 to 90 minutes before that race begins because security takes a while. So I left my hotel room at 5:50 and got there at 6 and got in line for security at 6 and it took about 15 minutes, I would say, to get through security, and the line was not very long. And they normally are very strict about bottles. They don't let you bring in unopened or opened waters or liquid, which I find so fucking annoying. That's too far. Let people bring in fluid for races. Go through metal detectors, but like, my God, this is so stupid. Same with the bladders. Race organizers, why aren't we letting people bring in their own bladders? This is like so stupid. So frustrating. Let people run with their own hydration. And then, so right before I went through security at 6:15, I drank probably about 4 ounces of fluid that had 3 scoops of Scratch high carb drink mix. So that was going to be my last like fuel before I started the race. And then I also had a banana as I walked out the room. So overnight oats at 4:15, banana at 5:50, and then Scratch super high carb drink mix at 6:15. Went to the bathroom right when I went through, and then I found a curb. If you are there early, find something to sit on. Do not stand around for an hour. Sit down. Do not sit on the floor, crisscross applesauce. Go find a curb and sit on the curb. So I sat on the curb for 20 minutes, and then at like 6:40-ish, 6:40, 6:45, I got up to go to the bathroom one more time. Went to the bathroom, felt really good. This is another huge mistake that people make. Do not take off your throwaway clothes until you are literally about to cross the starting line, unless you see the starting line and you are moving towards it. Philly specifically, this happened last time too. It starts late. It started late. The last time I did it, it started late this time. And it was fucking cold. It was so, so cold. And 7 o'clock, 7:10, well, I think we started at 7:10. It rolls around and they slowly release corrals, like so painfully slowly release corrals. And even then, they're not releasing all of A. There's like no rhyme or reason. They're just picking an amount of people to go. So I was in the 4th little like section to go, even though I was in corral C. So the race will start. People will start ditching even before the race starts. People will start ditching their throwaway clothes. And I'm just looking at them like, you fools, you're going to stand around for 20 minutes cold. What are you doing? You're wasting energy. You're wasting crucial energy that you need. So keep your clothing on until you are literally about to start. You can pull off your clothes. It's chip time, y'all. Chip time means the second your chip on your bib crosses that line, that's when it registers that your race has begun. You get to take as much time until you need to start. So I actually, like right before my corral went, I was like, you know what? It was 7:22. We were supposed to start at 7. I was like, you know what? I need to pee one more time. I'm just going to stop. You will never regret going to the bathroom before a race begins. always go to the bathroom before, like as many times as you need to and or want to before a race begins. I would much rather start later, but I didn't even need to start later because I was able, by the time the Corral Before Us was released, I was able to decide if I wanted to go to the bathroom, get out of my corral, go to the bathroom, and get back in my corral, and I still probably had 3 minutes to spare. So I had taken my pants off when I thought my corral was going to go, and then we got held, and I'm like, that's fine. I'll keep my sweater on. Went to the bathroom, came back, and then when we got released and I was about to cross the line, I pulled over, pulled off my sweater, took a big deep breath. Before I had even taken off for Philly, I had made this playlist for my race playlist because guess what? Wicked came out. The biggest gift to my fucking race in the whole entire world was Wicked Part 1. This movie, y'all, was so incredible. Oh my God, my family. Hold on. Everybody's trying to FaceTime me. It's declined. Live. It's live. We're live. We're live, everybody. I'm putting my phone on Do Not Disturb so nobody bugs me because we're recording a podcast. Don't call. Don't text. Yeah, Wicked! Oh my God. Oh my God. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Sam's on my emergency, so she overrides it's my sister. You can't talk to me right now. Literally the second tickets went on sale for Wicked, your girl was bought, purchased, ready to go to Wicked. So I went and saw Wicked on Thursday and was shooketh. It was everything I had hoped it was and so much more. I mean, Wicked came out when I was in high school. And Wicked, Caroline or Change, Avenue Q. Who else came out that year? There's one more. It was just such a transformative time to be a theater kid. I can't even tell you how many times we, like, before shows, we would just sit in the makeup room and just scream it at the top of our lungs. I remember having Tony watch parties. And I remember watching Defying Gravity live. You know, Joel, God, what's Joel's last name? He played the wizard. I'll never forget him introducing the cast and our spellbinding cast of Wicked, because I've seen that Tony performance 100 million times and the pride he has, and like it even played before the movie at Alamo, and I like teared up because it just brought me, I'm gonna cry right now. I love theater. It was so powerful, and even more so, like, watching talented people do what they love is everything. But Wicked hits so much harder this year after Trump won, and watching what the Trump administration and what white women voted for and what white men voted for and what so much of the country is doing to other immigrants, the trans community, the LGBTQ plus community, watching what Christian nationalism is doing, watching what is happening and unfolding and what has been happening and unfolding for the last couple of years, watching what's happening to education and what has been happening to education. Since I was in school, our class sizes started small, and all throughout my elementary school through high school experience got bigger and bigger and bigger. And as a theater kid, watching funding get cut, you know, like so much of our funding was non-existent. We had to, luckily, I grew up in an incredibly affluent neighborhood and had, you know, parents step in to fund stuff, and which that shouldn't be a thing. We need to invest in art because art is how we understand each other. Art is how we express. Art is how we figure out why the fuck we're on this earth and how we continue to go forward in spite of cruelty and hatred and all the things that we're kind of coming up to a head against. Theater helps people find community. Theater is life, you know. It's just it's art. Art is so important. We don't have art literacy anymore. All those visual mediums we're just not teaching people how to perceive whether it's paintings or music or dance or theater or film, like all the mediums, they don't get the respect. Writing, there's so many art mediums I'm leaving out. Art is incredibly important. Art is fundamental to who we are. Humans crave connection and telling stories and making sense of why we're here. And it's just, it was so powerful. Wicked was, I mean, Cynthia Erivo's performance, if this woman does not win an Oscar, I will burn things to the ground. I will take to the western sky and become the Wicked Witch of the East, Wicked Witch of the West. I will riot. Ariana Grande was so great. Michelle Yeoh was so fantastic. Jeff Goldblum was magic. His Dance with the Moon, I was like tearing up. There's a surprise in it that like the gasp that my theater gasped in one short day was like so magical. There was this woman, this girl, she was my age, sitting next to me, very obviously a theater kitty like me. And we laughed at every single joke the exact same way. And I was just like, am I sitting next to a mirror? You know, like it was everything. Watching Cynthia Erivo's Defying Gravity was so fucking heartbreaking. Oh my God. The Ozdust Ballroom, dancing through life when you watch the musical is heartbreaking, but it doesn't nearly hit the way it does in the movie. The time that they took was so earned and so effective, and her acting is so specific and so powerful. There was not a dry eye in the house at our showing. It was, everybody knows that feeling, and it's Ariana's delivery of course she does. Oh my God, Jonathan Bailey's Fiyero. Oh my God, his Dancing Through Life. What the fuck? One of my best friends. I love her to death. And I almost feel like I shouldn't be sharing this story. She has children. Husband's a real macho guy. And unfortunately also very homophobic, which really hurts. And it's very hard to deal with. And we were just discussing the last time I was home. One of her kids who I think would really, really excel in dance because they have, long story, not my story to tell. And her response was like was a scoff and like, yeah, right. Like we would ever be able to put him in like dance, like my husband would ever be okay with that. And I wanted to, this is awful and I hate admitting this, but I wanted to punch him in the face. That people like this have thoughts like that when you can go see Jonathan Bailey and the hottest thing you'll ever see is that guy fucking dancing. Like, talk about the most, like, just in, like, if that doesn't make you like blush watching him flirt, and it was, let boys fucking dance. Gay boys, straight boys, doesn't fucking matter. Let boys dance. Let boys do quote unquote feminine things. Look at fucking Tom Holland, Spider-Man, right? Straight guy, dating Zendaya, right? That kid is an incredible dancer. Billy Elliot himself, like that kid starred in Billy Elliot on the West End. Like, incredible talented dancer. Look at him. One of the best, like, he's a fucking superhero. He's a Marvel superhero. If Tom Holland can dance, let your boy dance. Get in therapy and figure your shit out and stop letting your dumb fucking homophobic views stop boys from dancing. I mean, I saw it when I was in high school and middle school, like this pressure that boys felt that it was quote unquote gay to be in the arts and quote unquote gay to be in dance or to dance in the spring musical. And it just makes me want to punch people in the teeth. It makes me so irate and so angry and so, it's just so small-minded. And it is such a triumph to have someone master something as difficult as dance or performance or whatever. And I digress. Long tangent, but like argue, have those discussions with people who say those things, because I really do think it's important, and I will always do it despite it making me have to pull for every single tool in my therapy tool belt to listen and humanize and receive information that makes me want to cut ties and say enough, and this is disgusting and vile, and lots of thoughts. But fuck Jonathan Bailey. What? Anyways, I bring this up because Wicked is the reason ya girl flew on Saturday, because on this playlist that I had created, the first 30 minutes was a lot of the new Wicked movie. So hold on, let me just pull it up for you. This was my playlist, and honestly, I didn't even touch the Disneyland stuff, which normally I'm like I rock Disneyland. So it was No One Mourns the Wicked, The Wizard and I, What Is This Feeling, Dancing Through Life, Popular, One Short Day, Defying Gravity, all from the movie. And then I had Wait for Me from Hadestown, Wondrous Heroes. So that's the Heroes medley from a Disneyland fireworks show. Here's a bit. I don't know how far I go, because this is the type of shit that lights my brain on fire in the best way. So I didn't even get to Wondrous Heroes because I really just... So I had that. It's not called Wondrous Heroes. It's called Wondrous. It's a fireworks show, and that's like the hero's journey segment. Yorktown from Hamilton, Happily Ever After, the long cut. So I cut up the intro and the outro to the fireworks show, and then I put the... and then I put the single at the end of it, so it's like a longer cut of Happily Ever After. And then I cut Fantasmic so that I cut out the villains, and it's like mostly just like all the parts. I cut out Pirates too, so it's all like the parts that I like to run to, and I also cut out the intro. I know that this is like deep cut crazy shit. Wait for Me, reprise from Hadestown, Happily Ever After, the single, Magic Happens, that parade that I love. Ready for the Ride, it's the single from Disneyland Paris, Nonstop, Magic Happens again, Happily Ever After again, single again, Ready for the Ride, Magic Happens, Happily Ever After. So I thought, worst case scenario, that's like a 2-hour 15-minute playlist, and I figured I would get to about starting to repeat the Disney stuff, but I was about to start this goddamn race, and I put on No One Mourns the Wicked, and I got hit by lightning. I felt this, like, I hadn't let myself listen to the soundtrack outside of, like, we obviously listened to literal Wicked the entire way down to Philly, and I screamed it the whole way, but I hadn't taken in the cast recording yet. So this was the first time I like just like had to listen to it, and I felt this surge of energy and just like joy surge through me when No One Mourns the Wicked played, and I was like, oh, so I'm listening to Wicked the whole time, without a doubt in my mind. Totally fine. We're doing Wicked the whole way. And I had to pull myself back, saw my friends at 2 and handed them my gloves. And then, with a terrible throw, might I add. And then I would say around 2, I was starting to dip in the 8s. And I was seeing it on my watch, and I was thinking, does this feel too hot? Do I think I can hold this for the rest of the race? And I was like, I feel like I'm jogging. So I was taking scratch chews every 15 minutes-ish, 15 or 20 minutes. I was taking 2 scratch chews. So I did that for the first hour. Again, mile 3 and 4 were pretty spicy. They were like 8:49, 8:42. Mile 4 was when I got to One Short Day, and One Short Day fucked me a little bit because I was like, oh my God, I have to run as fast as I can, because I was just like so hyped up, and I had to be like, slow down. So then I got myself back. I really forced mile 5 to be slow, 9:08. I know 9:08 is not slow, but it felt very slow. And I was like, you must earn the faster stuff. You must keep it comfortable through 10K. 10K, Melissa handed me my bottle, which had that scratch in it. I also took my first caffeine gel. So Dum Dum Kelly, I had intended on Thursday to go to Brooklyn Running Company and get UCAN and Merton caffeine gels because I have everything else and I forgot. Well, I didn't forget. I just didn't have time. So I was like, that's fine. I'll go to the expo and get it. No. There was no Merton to be found at the expo, but luckily one vendor did have Honey Stinger caffeine, and I was like, that's fine. I know Honey Stinger works for me. I haven't trained with it in years, but like it'll be fine. So I took my first Honey Stinger gel at 10K and was still taking the chews, but one chew now. So I was taking one chew about every 15 minutes. And then I let myself go. I stopped looking at my watch from that point forward. There's no more looking at my watch, and it was all completely effort level. I will also say once we kind of got to 10K, it was crazy until we got to the next 2 miles were like really loud, lots of crowd support. So it was like a very energetic time, which was really nice. I don't remember that many people being out the last time I did it, which it was 2021. That makes sense. I've also gone and cheered multiple times and I don't remember seeing that many people. So that was really, it was fun. It was there was lots of people. So, 7 was 8:42, 8 was 8:41, 9 was 8:46. I was not looking at my watch at all. Then we kind of got into the hillier section, the hillier part of the half marathon. And like having ran this before really helped because I was really able to remember the hills. I was I was able to really push down hills. I did not push up hills. I stayed on effort for up hills, but I really pushed down hills. So that helped me a lot. I saw Melissa, Kelly, and Jeannie again at mile 10, which was really nice. It was so helpful to have them to kind of like between taking chews or gels, it was really nice to be able to chunk it with eating and finding them. I, in that back half, took gels every 20 minutes. So I took a gel at an hour 20. I took a gel at an hour 40. So I took a caffeine at an hour 40 and I took a Martin at an hour 40. And that really helped me. One of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make is they think there's just 20 minutes left. There's just 2 miles left. There's just 5K left. And they don't take their last gel or they don't take an extra chew or they don't stay on top of fueling because they think I've done too much or I don't need it or I'm almost done. No, wrong. Stay on your shit. I worked really hard this training cycle to really train my gut to take a lot of carbs. I really strove to get that 70, 80, sometimes 90 grams of carbs an hour. And boy, did I feel different. I was so even-headed the whole time. There was one point where I was a bit like, okay, I am getting tired. But for the most part, I felt fantastic the entire way. I never had to I was never thinking. I was just going and I was just making moves and I was just pushing. It was amazing. I was so present. It is such a testament to doing mental work. This was the smartest race I've ever ran and the most confident I've ever ran, which a lot of it is because I'm much more experienced, but a lot of it is because of the work that we do in training and the journaling and stuff like that. Because I really trust the effort levels. I trust the efforts that I touched in training. And a lot of the time, a lot of athletes really struggle with, how am I going to hold this pace for the entire race? I haven't done it for longer than 2 miles or 20 minutes or 10 minutes at a time in training without breaks. And I know that sounds crazy and I know it's a huge trust fall, but it's a trust fall. You need to trust that all of your training, right? We're not talking about one specific workout. We're talking about weeks and weeks and weeks of putting points in the coin jar, all get you to this place where you're able to run this crazy, crazy outcome, right? To really push it in a way you never pushed it in training because you have enough coins in that coin jar. Now, I made the decision to wear super shoes. And over the last 3 weeks, I was like, do I buy new super shoes? Because the ones I have are too small. The Nikes I have are a little too small for me. And I knew they were too small for me. And I knew if I wore them, there was a good chance I was going to lose toenails. And it was a decision I decided to make because I couldn't bring myself to spend $300 on new super shoes. I couldn't. I have 2 pairs in my house. One that's a little bit too small and the other one my feet go numb in it. So they're not really usable. But I like my Nikes and I didn't want to buy new ones. I'm not in the mood to buy. I just don't. I can't justify the purchase. So I decided I'm probably going to lose toenails and we're just going to do it. I will say it was very uncomfortable for 40 minutes to the point where I was really noticing the pain in my toenails. And I think I probably could have pushed harder if I weren't a little bit more cognizant of how my feet felt and what was going on with my toes. But it wasn't so terrible that I was wincing. My gait wasn't super. I think my gait was changed a little bit. I've seen videos of me running from my friends. But in hindsight, I should have just gotten the new shoes. But I made a decision and there's nothing I can do. I really made the decision to push a huge downhill. There's a huge, massive downhill. I want to say it's like 11 and a half through 12 point. Maybe it's like 11, between 11 and 12 and a little bit of 12. There's this huge, massive downhill that I remembered. And I made the decision to really, really push it. And I'm really happy I did because it was there that I kind of realized I had a lot more in the tank. So once we kind of got to that final mile, I'm so scared of dry heaving that I wasn't letting myself like go into that last gear. And I kept trying to save some for the final uphill. But I swear to you, we got to the final uphill and I was like, I cannot believe we're already here. I mean, that Wicked soundtrack was putting lightning in my shoes. I was so dialed in. I was so gassed up. Wicked gassed me up so much. I mean, I would say the final hour, not the final hour, maybe like the final 40 minutes. I was truly just listening to What Is This Feeling and One Short Day. Just over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I was just so gassed up. So gassed up. I was having to like force myself not to like do finger dancing and be like, no, we're running fast. You need your arms. We're not throwing energy away. Like I was so stoked. I was so stoked on Wicked. And I was flying up that final hill and I kept thinking, save some. And there was a moment where I started to drive heave a little bit and I was like, oh God, no, don't throw up. So I pulled back a little bit and then I thought, I couldn't remember where the finish line was. And I knew it was coming because I was like, wait, we have to be there. I know where we are. And like, I couldn't see it. Also because of where the sun was, I was a little blinded. So I didn't kick it the way I wished I could have because I was scared of dry heaving. That's the only regret I have is I wish I would have pushed it a little bit harder on that final one on the final stretch, definitely on the final, like just like final half mile from half mile from the finish line. But again, I didn't know. I did my best in the moment and I have no regrets, you know, like I know I said I have that regret, but like if I could go back in time and do it again, that's what I would do. But like, I'm not sitting here kicking myself because I didn't. I'm really, really happy with how that went. I mean, I crossed the line and was not crazy huffing and puffing. And I like looked down at my watch and saw 155 and was like, what? I mean, there was even a moment where I was flying up the hill and I saw like 153 or 154 and thought to myself, what? No way. Crossed the line and there was a girl there and she was like, you crushed your goal. And I wanted to ask her, well, I didn't in the moment, but I was like, I know. I think that's what I said. And then she was like talking to people she knew. So I wanted to ask her, how did you know? Like, I just finished. I don't know if you knew where I started, but I was like, how'd you know? So then I finished, and then I found my friends. And we went to this amazing breakfast at this place called The Love. And then we came back to New York City because I have to work right now in a little bit and have a long day tomorrow. But yeah, that is it. That's the race. The race went great. I really didn't pay attention to my pacing strategy. I really just went off of effort level and all the efforts that I pulled for in training and trusted myself to make moves, and like allowed myself to find pockets when I felt good to push. And then when I felt a little stickier, just to like stay in it. And granted, this is years and years and years and years and years and years of experience. And I feel really good about where I am. But like, this was such a gratifying race. It really was. So I'm really happy. This was really great. What's next? I do not think I'm going to be running a spring marathon. It's not 100%, but I don't think I'm going to. I don't think I want to. That might change. I'm going to give myself a minute, but I think I'm going to try for Chicago. I entered the lottery. Again, who knows if I'll get in. I feel like I have history in Chicago. I know Chicago well, and I want a little bit more time to just build some power. I kind of want to break from training distance, run the distance I like. I like running 90 minutes on the weekends, but like go back to speedier stuff, go back to strength work, do a spring half marathon, see what I can do there, and then go for Chicago. That's what I'm thinking. And then as a fallback, Walt Disney World. So yeah, that's a wrap. It's a wrap on Project 159. I am so proud of myself. 155.01. What a wild little finale. Not crazy surprising. I'm really good at pacing and really experienced, but I definitely I didn't fully think I could do that. I really did think 157 was a little bit of a stretch, but really pleasantly surprised and really proud of myself. So, yay. Thanks for following along, everybody. Once again, team's on sale. Come join the team. Come train with us. If you have huge goals, I think I'm a pretty good coach. I coached myself. I coach lots of people. There's lots of people that you can talk to about what it's like to train with the Badass Lady Gang. They are out there. Go to the online community, ask around. If you're not comfortable talking about it in the online community, post about it and see if anyone's willing to email you. I do think it's really important that you ask people what their experience is like and before you join so that you can get an idea of, what you're getting yourself into and if it's right for you, because I know it's an investment and it's a bit of money, but pretty amazing. Come train with us. It's nice to have support and support tools to help you just really, really, really chase down your personal best. But that's all, everybody. If you want to learn more about training experiences, the team, etc., links are all down below, but you'll see me a little bit here or there through December, but this is recharge time. Take care of yourselves. Let boys dance. Go see Wicked. The end.